Hi, this is Happy Moonlight. Dealing with anxiety, part two. I talked in the first video a little bit about what anxiety does to you and why being anxious all the time is really interfering with happiness and also confidence in life. I was talking at the end about catastrophization, and I did this with one of my patients once, and it was very interesting to see. Now, she was worried about losing her wallet someplace, because it had important things in there and she was afraid of, losing the money, the credit cards. I think she was more worried about all the hassle that was involved. Anyways, so we talked about her, you know, walking her dog. And then all of a sudden she comes home and she finds out her wallet isn't there. And then we're going through the steps and we looked. Okay, so we started looking. Not it wasn't not something that was actually happening. So we were just, pretending we were looking. So, we looked in her pants. We looked in her we looked in her bag. We looked in her jacket. We started looking, retracing her movements, walking around and seeing if we could find it. So we did this in our minds because we were trying to prepare for the situation. And every time we came up with something, it could be in the jacket, it could be in the pocket, she would say, no, no, that's not where it was. Okay. Oh, no, no, no. Yeah. And then, no, it's not going to be there. And then what? No, no, that's not where it's going to be. No. Yeah. And then what? But what if it's not there? Yeah. What if I walk, if I backtrace my steps and it's not there either? And it took me literally about maybe 10 minutes to realize she's not really trying to find the thing. She's not trying to find it. She's not trying to find a solution. She is trying to find the worst possible scenario. And the worst possible scenario is she never sees her wallet again. And it was then that I realized when you do catastrophization, you are not really looking for answers. You're looking for problems. And while catastrophization can be something that just goes on in your mind, something that you can't influence, I have to be really honest with you. If you do that, and if you catch on to it, if you realize, oh, this is what I'm doing, then you can be well advised to at least consider changing the way you think about things in that way that you say, okay, let me see if I can find solutions for the scenarios. Okay, so what is the difference between somebody who's going on a trip, like a camping trip, and who's packing sun spray, insect repellent, a warm mat for the floor, a tent, a sleeping bag, pots and pans, and a little stove, and flashlight, and matches, and all these things, and a knife, and a Swiss Army knife with all the fancy tools? What is the difference? The difference is that in the case of the person who's trying to prepare for a situation the best way possible, is that that person is trying to string up solutions. They're stringing. It's like a Boy Scout or a Girl Scout. Okay, you think about a problem. You say, "Oh, I could, tie a rope around the tree, and then we could pull this out, or we could do this, and we could do that. So let's pack a pocket knife. Oh, yes, let's pack a rope." Now, that is not what happens when you do catastrophization. It doesn't. You are looking for the no way out situation. Okay. Now, as I journey with you and do walk with me, you know, on the path of anxiety and on the topic to find out more about what we can do to deal with anxiety, I want you to give yourself the permission to think differently and to change your thoughts about certain issues. Now, in the first video, I was talking about the flight from Frankfurt to Denver, and I was talking about the fact that worrying about certain things after you have taken sufficient care is not really helpful. And I'm not saying that worrying is something that doesn't come automatically, but we have a lot of possibilities to change the way we think and to change the way we react to certain situations. And in the next couple of videos, I will be talking more about two very important elements that I touched on in my first video, and that is the elements of grace and skills. Because it's by building on grace, the perception of grace, the realization that there actually is such a thing. And I'm not talking about religious grace. When I talk about grace, I'm talking about the fact that in situations that we encounter, there are usually tools around us and people and things that aid us that we are going to be using if we can actually see them. And part of psychotherapy is actually helping people to see the tools around them, to see helpful people, to see the vacant parking spots, to see things that are positive. That doesn't mean that the negative things out there are not there. They're still there. It's just that your perception of things changes. And the other thing that happens is, and it's really interesting to see, we will also be working on the skills that help you meet situations in a different way. And I call it the MacGyver technique. And if you know the series MacGyver, it's a guy who literally finds a tool wherever he goes. He uses random things that he finds and he turns them into weapons, into a means of escape. That's what he does. And the idea is to get you a chest full of possibilities to deal with situations that cause you anxiety. And in the next couple of videos, we will be going through several steps of how to reduce anxiety in your life and how to get a better grip at things and feel less anxious in situations of daily life. I wish you a happy day.